Okay, hello everybody. Tony Botchapalippo here, and I am so excited to be hanging with Deanna Herrera from
Okay.
Deanna Marguerite
It
Bouquets.
looks really good
And
right now coming
Deanna
through
and
on my
I met
screen,
at Eco
but I'm
Evolution,
not
where
hearing it.
so many people
So I want to
meet
make
in
sure
our
I've got the
town
audio settings working
for the
well
first
here.
time. And you were
And
doing an
looks
event that
like
absolutely blew my
all
mind,
this
made my
is
day,
set
made the
up the
day
way
of a
that I
lot
want
of
it to
people.
be.
And I would love to
Of
just
course,
maybe just tell us a little bit
this is
about
exactly
what
what
the
I
origin
didn't want
was
happen.
for this program, and kind of how you got started, and how
Okay,
you got
hang with
into the
me
world of
just a minute
flowers and,
longer
all
while I
of that as
figure out if
well.
I've got this going.
Yeah, awesome. A lot of good questions. So I guess the first thing I'll describe a little bit is about our Sunday.
Here we go.
Okay, hello everybody. Tony Botchapalippo here, and I am so excited to be hanging with Deanna Herrera from Deanna Marguerite Bouquets. And Deanna and I met at Eco Evolution, where so many people meet in our town for the first time. And you were doing an event that absolutely blew my mind, made my day, made the day of a lot of people. And I would love to just maybe just tell us a little bit about what the origin was for this program, and kind of how you got started, and how you got into the world of flowers and all of that as well.
Yeah, awesome. A lot of good questions. So I guess the first thing I'll describe a little bit is about our Sunday stroll and STEM. So that event, we just had our first one, which you went to, and we just had our second one on June 22nd, this last Sunday. And what that event is about is we get these reclaimed flowers from supermarkets that they were going to go in the trash, but instead they donate it to Soar Together Connecticut to give them out and try to fight social isolation, loneliness, and just brighten people's day. From the simple act of just arranging a bouquet and giving flowers does so much. So about this event, it's really just bringing those cut and cleaned, rescued flowers, and then actually having the supplies and having the people of the town do the arranging, being a part of that experience of giving back, and then actually walking around town and having that face-to-face communication of, here's a free bouquet. We want nothing from you. Just have a great week. It's the best.
People don't, some people are like totally ready to just accept flowers from strangers, and some are, like, do not get it. Like,
Yes.
the concept
Yeah.
of people just being generous is so foreign to some folks. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the goal of what we're trying to do to change things. Because even this last Sunday, there were some people who were like, "Oh my God, you don't know how much I needed this. I can give it to a friend, and that's so great." And then there are people like, "No, thank you. I don't have any money." And I'm
Yeah.
just insisting, please, we just want to spread some joy. So, we're hoping with programs like this, it'll make it a little more common just to spread joy just for the sake of it.
I feel like I need, if I do something like this again with you, I need a t-shirt that's literally, that just says in giant letters, like, "No, I don't want money. I don't even want your email. I literally just want you to have a nice day."
Yes, log ID on the front and back.
Yeah. So to rewind a little bit, how did you get into bouquets? What were you doing before that? How did flowers become your world?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a long story, but the shorter version is,
We have
after I
plenty of time. Take your time.
oh, don't even get me started. I guess I'll even start, back when I was working for Rocket Mortgage. I was a mortgage banker, fully remote, loved what I was doing, but I did take a sabbatical for about 6 months to see, okay, do I want to go back into banking or do something a little different with my life? Well, I figured out a few health things, and
Mhm.
6 months later, Deanna Marguerite Bouquets was born, and that's just kind of how I got into it, because I'd been arranging florals for the last 3 years just for me,
Yeah.
for friends. It was just a fun hobby. You've probably seen the videos of go to Trader Joe's, pick up a few things, and I was one of those girls every week, go Trader Joe's and make a little arrangement. I mean, look, I have even arrangements here just for myself, even though I'm a florist. I still like to do it every week. So lucky me that after the 6 months, I figured, well, I know I want to start a business, and I want to do something like that, but
Yeah.
what's it going to be in? And I realized, why don't I just do something I love doing already? So now I get to do my hobby full time. It's the best setup.
Now, this can't have been an easy move. I mean, this is the kind of things we hear, like, like TV news pieces about her. Like she left behind her career at the mortgage company and started a flower company. What was that like? Like, what? I mean, that's a gutsy move.
Yeah, no, honestly, it was for me. It's one of those things where I don't realize kind of what's happening when it's happening. Because before that, my degree is in the sciences, biochemistry. I was doing lab work before I'd done mortgage banking, so for me, this was just, another move aligning with, the core values I have, because I was just so passionate that I knew I wanted to run my own business. I knew I had the chops to do it, but I also had a passion for flowers and seeing the joy that flowers bring people. It honestly was a no-brainer. I didn't even process what a move it was until later I realized, I'm like, wow, that did happen, didn't it? And so honestly, for me, it was just, I was so passionate about reaching that goal. I wasn't even nervous to jump into it.
That's amazing. I feel like that is a fairly common refrain that, like if you slowed down long enough to really think it through, you might not have done it. And so probably works out for the best.
It really did. It was like a no-brainer, honestly. And now that I think about it, I go, wow, that was a little scary, but I'm glad it's working out for the best.
So there is something so physical and tangible about flowers. I mean, my goodness, like let's take a second to appreciate flowers. They're beautiful, they smell nice, they make people happy. Like they are just magical ingredients in life. Compared to mortgages, which are also important and useful constructs in the world, but like they're not colorful and they don't smell nice. They're very, very different constructs.
Paperwork doesn't smell as nice as flowers. So
no. But like, so how do you get started in this business? Where do you I don't know. Where do you even begin?
I mean, where I begun, it almost started in 2023 when I was still in mortgage banking. I had a good friend who lives in Michigan. I knew her from college, and she's more of like the business. She went to hotel school, and she was like, owning a business is great. I just started my LLC. It wasn't hard. And she was already doing her own great life. I'm like, wow, she seems so happy and she's got it together. And when she described, the joys that her, business ventures were bringing her, I figured, it doesn't cost much to just start an LLC. So I just started with Deanna Margarette, which is my first and middle name, LLC. And I said, okay, well, I'm not doing it now. I'm still doing mortgage banking, but, I want to have this reserved. So that way, when I start, like I have my name.
Yeah.
In 2024, I'd already had the LLC. I just needed the ideas and I just needed to pick up a few flowers. And after just doing a little online research, the overarching theme I saw was you just have to get started. I'm not going to know all the pieces to the business. I'm not going to have any contacts. I don't even have like official floral training. I just know I have to get started. So that's really it.
Wow. So not even official floral training. That's so cool. So really just personal experience and passion for it. So where do you get your flowers from?
Yes, so that's a great question.
Not the ones we give away, because that's a different story. We'll talk about that too.
There's two different sources. So if we're just talking about Deanna Margarette bouquets, it's varied right now. So, I'll still pick up some things from Trader Joe's, some from Big Y. I've had great experiences through the nonprofits we're together. I've also reached out to Connecticut Flower Collective. I've also picked up from farmers markets, from the New York City flower market there. For me, for my business, it's a little bit of everything now, but I'm hoping by 2026, I want to be fully local. I even grow flowers here on my small property. I'm in a small house in Norwalk, but my front yard, I ripped up all the grass and it's just flowers. So
amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. So you have your own like personal flower garden that you're using to source some of the flowers that you use.
Yeah, so it's funny how it worked out. We bought our house, 2.5 years ago. So I was, in mortgage banking. That's why it was a big goal for me back then.
Sure.
And as soon as we bought it, the first winter passed, and in the spring, I was just ripping out the grass. And it's not because I knew I was going to start a flower business. The passion was already there for a garden. It's something I dreamed of. So the passion for flowers and nature and garden and ecosystems was just already there. So luckily now I started my business, I already have just flowers established. I got so lucky.
Oh my goodness. All right. So I'm going to tangent on the tangent. We'll come back at some point, but tearing up your yard and turning it into a flower garden, How's the experience been? I've not had much personal experience with gardening, but I know it's coming. At some point in I live in an apartment now, so I don't have as much access. But what's it been like? What do you recommend if somebody else is interested in doing something like that?
I can get on my soapbox for hours about this topic. So it's been honestly amazing. It's a very small, like it was a grass patch in the front yard. It's, I think we're on like 4,000 square feet lot. And just ripping up the yard, I definitely got looks from neighbors. Everyone was walking around, passing by, and they're like, hey, how's it going? I'm just the new young neighbor on the block ripping out the grass. It looks kind of bad. So, that part was a little bit like, okay, we have to trust the vision. I hope it works out.
Yeah.
But honestly, like after the first year, once we got things ripped out and we made some like simple beds and I just planted seeds. I didn't even buy plants. I just started with like the $2 seed packets you can get at Lowe's or wherever.
Yeah.
Things just, you put it in, you water it, you give it love, and things will happen. And it looked a little wild at first. There were definitely a little more weeds than flowers the first year, but this is season 3 and I can't like talk about it highly enough. I mean, we grow all types of vegetables. We finally have fruit trees, and of course, sustainable flowers. And I use 0 pesticides. I'm very dedicated to something very sustainable, eco-friendly. I know how much of a difference just a little bit of land makes. I mean, I was watching my front yard today. I heard 13 different types of birds. We had the chipmunks. We had so many beneficial bugs. We have like just how much nature we can provide with just our little land is so worth it. So if that's all I can do for my part and then use that as like, experience to tell people, this is what you can do with your little grass plot, that's really all it takes. It's just so beneficial for me. It's beneficial for the ecosystem here that we have. It's beneficial for like the water runoff. We don't use the pesticides. It does not go into our drinking water. It's just can't recommend it enough.
That's amazing. So if I wanted like maybe to start, maybe not go whole yard, but if I wanted to start, getting a little bit more active, what do you recommend maybe as a starting point, or what do you recommend avoiding as the starting point?
Oh, that's a good one. I'll do the avoiding first.
Yeah.
Mint plants are very invasive here in Connecticut. Our sellers, as much as they were lovely people, they had some mint in the backyard. We're still dealing with it almost 3 years later.
Oh my goodness.
So that's what I'll recommend.
Does it at least smell minty and nice, or
it doesn't taste good? We tried making into mojito. It wasn't the best.
Oh,
geez. I do not recommend it. So that's mint alone. What I would start with, like if you were to start on a super, super small plot, or even in an apartment, but maybe you have a sunny balcony, it really just takes one nice size pot and any seeds. Let's just say you get a thing of marigold seeds. Let's say I give it to you. You don't even want to start, with money. I can give you a pot. I can give you some marigold seeds that I have from my flowers. Already you can support some native bee populations. You already have, it attracts beneficial pests, repels some of the ones that will go after other people's crops, like their vegetable plants. So, my biggest thing, if you want to start, just start literally anywhere. Just look up, what are plants that are native to Connecticut. We want to start with that. Then I would go to any other plants. Just also be aware of the invasive plants of Connecticut, just to make sure you avoid them. If you start with that and knowing that we're in zone 7, anywhere's a good place to start, because you don't get a green thumb overnight. The green thumb comes from killing a lot of plants and experience. So really start anywhere.
The thumb gets green by being stained with the green of the plants that you kill along the way, right? Yeah.
One of my biggest secrets, my garden looks great. It's because all the plants you see, I've probably killed another set of those in the past. These are the ones that survived.
Don't say that too loud. You're going to make the plants nervous.
We learn a lot, and then we progress in the future. So it's all good.
They can handle that. So we're zone 7. Is that what you said?
Yes. If you're ever wondering, like I would love to grow a lemon tree, you could just do a quick Google, what zone do lemon trees grow in? And it'll tell you it is not a perennial in zone 7. That is something for more tropical, so
sure.
It is an easy tip to know. Connecticut, at least our part, in southern Connecticut, zone 7. You can look it up, and you can always double check whatever you're looking at. If you're looking at Lowe's, some seed packets, they always have the zone on it.
Love that.
Yeah.
And in terms of the kinds of folks you work with, who'd you make your first sale to, and where have you found kind of your niche or your area of focus?
Yeah, it's so funny. I'm trying to really think about who was my first sale besides maybe friends or family.
Well, sure,
And
yeah.
honestly, it honestly might have taken.
Usually a friend or family, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to think. I think my first few sales were friends and family. And that was the thing back then, I had actually still have on my Google Doc, and it says day one notes. I put all my notes of like who the people I might want to sell to, what I want to do. And it also says, don't give up. It's going to be hard. You're going to want to give up. Don't do it.
Wow.
So definitely when I started, I knew I didn't have a niche, and I just had to figure it out. I thought it was going to be, I'm going to arrange beautiful bouquets and people are going to contact me and I'm going to sell one, and that's going to be sustainable. After a few months, I learned that's not really going to be sustainable if I want to do this full time.
Yeah.
So lucky for me, I've been able to navigate into a niche of not just, oh, I sell you one bouquet, you come to my shop and I will sell for your mother's birthday or for a funeral or a celebration. I focus more on community events, which is why I align with the charity so well. I'd rather, instead of selling the one bouquet, I want to sell you more of like an experience of you come by, we make this into a joyful artistic experience. We connect with our community. It's relaxing. I'm more about the in-person connection than just the individual sale.
Yeah. Now we're gonna get into the handing out of the flowers and the building the bouquets as a community activity. I guess just before we get into that, so you said community events as clients. So birthday parties, anniversaries, barbecues, like those kinds of things. Like not like wedding scale, like smaller. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's funny because I am open to doing those in 2026. I'm kind of using my 2025 year to collaborate with other small women-owned businesses and other local businesses in Norwalk. So that way we can create more of like an event where people from the town can say, oh, this is thing going on. Either it's free or I need to buy a ticket for it. And then they come to this place where, I'm collaborating with just a few businesses. So instead of just standing alone, I'm very happy to be partnering with these different businesses to get out to different locations and connect with all different people of my town.
I see. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And then in terms of, this, getting to know some of the wider project context, when did you run into Ginger Smith and the Soar Together project, and tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I actually got really lucky with that. Usually the winter time is slower for florists. So I said, okay, I had a good first few months. I want to see what I want to go for in 2025. And after doing a little bit of soul searching, I realized giving back to my community, volunteering, and just helping in some way, really, it's in my core values. It really makes me feel good. And that's how I know I really want to align my business with. So I was just scrolling on Instagram one morning in January. It must have been 6 a.m. I don't know why I was up that early. And I saw a post saying, oh, we're looking for florists in Norwalk. I just searched Norwalk flowers in Instagram, and that was one of the posts I saw. And it said, contact Ginger Smith and the email. So I got right on the email as soon as I saw it and say, hey, I'm a small florist. I'm not very big yet, but I do want to volunteer. And I see your mission of, battling social isolation and loneliness. Yeah. I would love to help. Tell me how I can help. Yeah. And honestly, from that, it's just been 0 to 60. It's I've been fully in it. It's been so great.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So this was over the winter time. And then what have y'all, I participated in this one event, but maybe can you tell me a little more about just overall how the organization works and, what it's doing to fight that issue and who it's helping?
Yes. So it's really very cool. So for example, I'll give you one of the events that I first came on to, which was the Flower Power. And we do that with all different types of groups. The one I was doing is for the seniors. So I went to Norwalk Senior Center. And with that, we get all of our donation flowers with sets of volunteers. And, me being one of the volunteers, we cut and clean these flowers and make sure we, get all the icky parts off, and the flowers that can be rescued, we get them in another bucket. We bring all these buckets to the Norwalk Senior Center with these cups that say you are loved. So that way, flowers, they wilt over time, but that way, we have the message of, someone loves you, appreciates you, you belong here. So we'll go to these places, senior center being one of them, and the seniors will grab the flowers and they'll put it in these cups, not only for themselves, but they're also doing it for other people in the community. So whether it be person to person, Open Doors, Triangle Community Center, the Marvin, even if it's for other seniors, they'll arrange it so it feels good, not just to get flowers, but to actually be doing something, doing something creative and artistic and social. And then to give that to other people, knowing that they feel good too. It's really great to get everyone involved in helping each other.
What an example of paying it forward.
Right? Yeah, no, seriously, right? And it's for free. It doesn't cost a lot to just donate your time to do something nice for someone else.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like there's, it's just that much, feels that much nicer when you give someone a bouquet and the first thing you say is, "Oh, I can't wait to give this to somebody else that I care about." And it's just the love keeps propagating, which is beautiful. Exactly. And what about, so the idea of the stroll and stem, where did that come from?
Yes, so it was actually Ginger's idea because she is the founder of Soar Together. And so she used to have a program, Soar Strolls. And so they would go to like Half Faster Beach, I believe another location. And, they would take out seniors and the goal is to get seniors out and to get other volunteers out just to go for a walk, to have that company. And that's part of the mission of fighting this loneliness and isolation. It's to have these programs as opportunities to get out. And, it might not be anything complicated. It's just going for a walk. But the impact it has just to have a nice conversation with someone else who knows like they're there because they also want the same thing. They want that human interaction. Yeah. It means so much. So when it came to here in Norwalk, what I want to do is, obviously being a florist in my flower business, I always want to incorporate flowers into this idea. So we were brainstorming back and forth and I said, how about Sunday stroll and stem? Because not only do I want to go for walks with people and love that community, we're walking together, it's a nice day, but I want to include the flowers and, how good does it feel to not only make a bouquet and go for a walk on a nice day, but now you're giving it to just total strangers. Yeah. They might not be in hospitals. They might not be, in the most socially isolated spots, but we don't know what people's stories are on the street. They could be having the best life, the best day, or they could be walking with a smile and they really could use that little bit of human interaction. And that's kind of where the idea came from, to kind of twist this event a little bit just to really encompass even more people from our town.
Yeah, of course. And there's also, I imagine, you deal with flowers all the time. You're dealing with a thing that doesn't last forever. And so those flowers, so I'm sure a lot of flowers end up getting thrown out or composted or whatever, that they'd end up not being given to people. So it seems like a really smart way of making use of flowers that are no longer in the sellable phase, but are still quite beautiful.
Exactly. The way I think about it, we have the two options. I could get these flowers, I have extra flowers, and they're dying in my kitchen, and I got to deal with it. Or we're going to put a little extra effort and labor into making sure we're maintaining these flowers, putting together the programming, but then think about how many lives we're touching, how many smiles we're bringing, the impact. You just can't put a value on it. So to me, and also to Ginger, it's like a no-brainer, really.
Yeah. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. And I think part of what grabs me is I just love seeing things like this that, other people can do in other parts of the world, just to, recognize there's a lot that is within our reach that we can do, that makes our day a little better and our neighbor's day a little better, So where could somebody find, like non-sellable flowers like this? Yeah. How does that kind of come about?
Yeah. So the non-sellable flowers, it's a little tough for just anyone because, like, for example, when I started my business, I also had a similar idea to ginger. I just didn't know, this existed yet. So I'd reach out to my local Trader Joe's and some other local supermarkets. I said, hey, if you have any that are going to trash, could you donate them to me? I would love to put them together and just give them back to hospitals or anyone who needs it. And they said, no, we already have a number of people who want to do this or ask. And, so they deal with these requests. So for the everyday person, it's a little tough to get these kind of flowers. But because, Ginger is, she is not new to the game. She already has such a good system set up. And because it's a nonprofit, she has these really good relationships with these places that are willing to donate. And then so through that, we get all these flowers. But the way someone can get involved, we're actually looking for more volunteers, especially because I have this new Soar Together Norwalk standalone chapter. We're looking for volunteers to actually, get their hands in the buckets of flowers and do this arranging, give to people, not only give away to, the partners we have that we know they need flowers, but also take them home. Give, that your neighbor's having a bad day, go give it to your neighbor. So, it's a little tough to do it from scratch if, you're just someone looking to do it just, I want to give to the hospital. It's a little tough, but we are taking volunteers. I'm about to make an announcement about it because we would love for people to come help arrange some flowers and help kind of spread that goodness.
Oh, that's beautiful. And so this is beyond the stroll and stem that you're creating more opportunities for participation.
Yeah. So what's really exciting, I have my hands full with my business, but I have, a good number of gals that are helping me out. So I'm growing my team there. So now with Soar Together Norwalk, the goal is to have, it doesn't have to be a huge production, but I already have a few things in the works with some local businesses here in Norwalk to host us, to have these events, to have the space to meet as a community, to meet volunteers or even non-volunteers, even if it's a one-off, to arrange and to spread the goodness.
That's amazing. That's so exciting. Yeah. And I feel like, it makes sense that maybe, getting the materials, caring for them, making sure that when I walked in to Eco, you had already set up, you and your coworker, your collaborator, I forget his name. Was it
Benito?
Yeah, Benito. That you guys had already, set up the flowers. You'd already, I'm sure, curated them to some degree where, it was easier for me as a volunteer. And I'm sure you know this because you clearly thought this through, that, volunteers need stuff to be spoon fed to them a little bit.
If you're not in it every day, it's hard to just, be on the same page if we're not having telepathy. So get it. I totally get it.
For sure. And I guess on that thread, just because I feel like this is also very interesting to me as someone who doesn't know this world at all, what kind of tips do you have for arranging a bouquet?
Oh, the biggest tip I can give you that I love telling everyone, this is free advice that everyone can take. Take the leaves off your flowers. You would get flowers. They're all have these beautiful leaves. And sometimes the green is beautiful. Like I'm looking at flowers behind my camera right now. I have some buckets in my kitchen.
Naturally.
It's beautiful when they have the flowers, but they die so quickly if you leave the leaves on. And I'll give you just, the quick reason why, when you have a flower that's been cut, it's drinking up the water. But if, the flower needs to give energy to both the petals and the leaves, it doesn't have a lot of energy left in it, it's going to wilt. So no matter how beautiful you arrange your bouquets, however many colors you put in it, after a few days, are already going to start to flop over, the petals are going to start falling. Yeah. Whereas if you take the flowers off, the flowers don't need to put energy towards those leaves anymore. It's not like it needs to work hard to grow. It's already cut. So instead, the water goes straight and it gives the energy to the petals. And it, oh my goodness, it lasts like 3-4 weeks after. Even the flowers we do here that are donated, I've had people tell me these flowers have lasted a whole month and these are flowers supposed to be in the trash. So that is my biggest tip. It's the leaves. That little extra effort of taking the leaves off the stems makes a huge difference.
Yeah, I mean, it's something I learned. It's counterintuitive about like pruning plants is good for their growth. And it's like, well, how does cutting leaves off make the plants healthier as well? Because they're making extremely efficient use of dirt and sunshine. So
Exactly. There's
they're
always a
trying to
science
be,
behind it.
yeah, yeah. That's awesome. I love that. And then in terms of like, I don't know, colors and types of flowers, like, when I walked into your event, there were a whole bunch of different kinds of shapes and sizes. And, I was just kind of vibing it, which was fine because we're just giving them away to strangers on the street. But, well, how does one start to develop an eye for, or assembling a bouquet?
Yeah. So I do believe it's very personal because now that I've been doing a lot of these events where I'm watching volunteers create their own bouquets, or for my business, my beers, bouquets, and bracelets event, that when people are building their own bouquets and I'm seeing so many different types, it really is personal preference. Like for example, my preference, I love the pastel colors. I love the spring, when things melt together. And, I do have some art background. So for me, colors is a big, big deal. I'm still working on, how I perceive structures in my own arranging.
Mm.
So as for tips for, how you develop an eye, honestly, my biggest thing, just even going through Pinterest or going and taking a look at bouquets you like and really thinking about what do I like about this? For me, I love when the colors blend together and they're light and pastel. That's great. Whereas my partner, he just loves bright, bright colors. I wouldn't make a bouquet like that. But for someone who likes colors, yeah, do hot reds, bright yellows, like maybe even some really bold blues. So really for me, it is personal. Getting an eye it's just you have to know what you like, and then you develop your eye for
Mm-hmm.
color and what you want to see in a bouquet.
Now, you very quickly moved through mentioning another program that you run, Beers, Bouquets, and Bracelets. What is that? Tell me all about it.
Yes. Okay. So this is one of our like most frequent events that we put our energy into. So with this event, we do it with Space Cat Brewing here in Sono. I live like a few minutes, it's like 5 minutes down the hill from me, and the staff is the best. So I partnered with 716 Permanent Jewelry. The
Mm-hmm.
owner's name is Jeanette. So with these three businesses, so it's my business, Jeanette's Permanent Jewelry, and Space Cat for their beers, we combine for beers, bouquets, and bracelets.
There you go.
And the goal is you buy your one ticket. With your one ticket, you get a drink. So it could be a beer, a wine, a cider, a non-alcoholic drink if you're not into that. You get to build your bouquet. So I bring just mountains of color, just buckets on buckets of whatever colors I have on hand. And I arrange in a way so it's visually appealing to be able to say, oh, I want some reds. Let me pull from here. Let me pull some whites, whatever you would like. So you build your bouquet, and then you also get a discount for some permanent jewelry. I'm actually wearing some here. There's no clasps. You don't fidget with it. You just wake up and you're dressed for the day. So that's been like our flagship event for my business that we do like twice a month at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And we're scheduled out till the summer. We're about to start announcing maybe some fall dates coming very soon. And it's really, really cool because people always tell us that, this is a great idea. I haven't seen an event like this before. And I mean, that's kind of the point, for my business, my niche, I love collaborating with other businesses and creating events that are inherently good ideas that might not already be out there. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and I feel like that. I gravitate so much to what you're doing. I think in part because I like doing stuff like that too, and just coming up with creative ideas of new ways of approaching things. And so, what about what else? What else have you done socially? In terms of just like events or even just like little gatherings with friends, things like that. I have a feeling you've got a long history of doing creative stuff, bringing people together.
it's funny you mentioned that because in my friend group, especially a lot of my college friends, they know us to have like the house where we have reunions. Like, since we got our house, we do New Year parties every year. We do like 3-day reunions. Same thing with Memorial Day. We do 3-day reunions. So that's the thing. I've always had this affinity towards coordinating events to bring people together in a very, very thought out way. Because, it's easy enough to say, okay, I have a good number of people I know they want to gather. Let's invite them over and we'll figure it out. There's nothing wrong with that. Listen, you still get people together. But for my thing, I really enjoy putting the thought and the effort into an event, something that I would want to go to really bring the experience. Because for me, yes, we could definitely create events where people get together and catch up, or, surface level, talk about surface level things. But for me, it really makes a difference to have something a little deeper. So that way it's not just catching up, it's making memories. So in my personal life, I've been doing this with my longer events where people can stay over and we make memories instead of catching up. Whereas, and for the business, we do things like, we've had events at Eco too. Like, I'm trying to think, we had one for Mother's Day. I believe it was blooms and bracelets. And it was similar to our Space Cat event where, there was no beer component, but, you get a ticket and you can, hang out in this cafe, order your coffee, slow down for a minute. It was great because we saw a lot of mothers and daughters. Then they get to arrange bouquets together. It was really nice seeing them coordinate colors and arranging it. And obviously they get the matching jewelry, the permanent bracelets. And even the thing is, you can do that event in, 30 minutes and maybe you're done. But we have this event for 3 hours because we're trying to have it be more of a social hour of like, yes, come and do our activities, but slow down, take a minute, have a nice conversation, sip your tea. And so we do a lot of events like that at Eco. And we have, for my business specifically, a few meetings this week that we're going to collaborate, hopefully, with a few other Connecticut businesses, either in Norwalk or Fairfield County. So I can't announce it yet because it's in the works. But we do have a few we're expanding beyond Space Cat and Eco Evolution to have a few more creative events for people to just slow down and talk to one another, even if it's a stranger.
I would save this for a couple minutes from now, but since it's such a nice segue, where do we stay tuned so that we can hear about those upcoming things?
Yes. So I try to make it pretty centralized. Obviously, I have my Instagram where I'm announcing events left and right. My administrative coordinator, she is a superstar and she is putting out announcements left and right. And people can always ask questions and we're always happy to give sneak peeks if anyone wants to know. And on my website, I also have my website, deannamarguerite.com. And that I have an event calendar and any events that we book. And as soon as we know, we are putting information there. It has, what's the parking lot? What time is it? Is it free? How much is it? Do I have to go to another link to buy a ticket? All the information you can want will be on my website if you don't already see it on my Instagram.
It is not to be taken for granted. So many folks, neglect those fundamentals. And so many times, I feel like it should be more obvious. And I guess, it's not surprising, but like, how many times have I been on my way to an event? I don't really pay attention to the address or the exact time until it's 10 minutes before it starts. And then I'm like, wait, where is it? Now I'm fumbling around trying to find the ticket on my phone or whatever. And, it's just like, make it easy on people. Give them the info.
It's funny because I've been there. There have been a number of times where I'm like, oh yeah, I know the info is all on this graphic and I have it saved on my phone. And now 10 minutes later, I'm like, oh shoot, this graphic didn't have the info. And so that's the thing. I've been there. So when I try to do these events, I try to put myself like in, the other person's shoes. Cause I've been there. I'm like, what's important to me? What would, make this event easy, not stressful, just straightforward and make sense. And that's where things like that come from. It's just experience, really.
So it's Deanna Margarette. So DianaMargarette.com. And then it's Deanna Margarette Bouquets. So everything I just said, plus the word bouquets for Instagram. And that's where we could find out more about what you're up to and what's coming up next.
Yes, we keep it updated. On our website, it'll definitely have all of the information. And on Instagram, it'll have the information plus pictures. So, keep it all updated. I mean, we have so many flowers. We have
I mean, in an era where taking a pretty picture and being able to share it on socials rules the day, being in the business of pretty stuff is pretty timely.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing, when I first started my business, there's not as many pictures because I was still learning that rule of, I really have to do a better job of taking the pictures. The people want to see what's going on before they commit to coming to an event. So, we're trying to do a little bit of a better job this year, really getting the pictures out to the people.
We're visual animals. Okay, a couple of quick lightning round questions. what's a book that you've been reading that you like to recommend to people? It could be flower related or not. Just one off the top of your head that you love to shout from the rooftops.
Oh my goodness. See, I'm looking this up as we speak. There is it's I can't even remember the title. And I can get back to you about this, but there's this
Okay.
book written by this biology professor at Cornell, and she lives up in Ithaca. And I'll have to get you the name. So pretty much during COVID, she would write letters to her family members that live in London, because she's
Mhm.
not from the U.S., but she teaches at Cornell and she lives in upstate New York. And obviously, since things were locked down, she took it to start writing about the things she would see just in her backyard. So she would have entries, and it would just be about, the joy she would get from the birds, the chipmunks, the bees, literally every part of nature that was around her house only, she would write about. So the reason why that book comes to mind is I've read that book over like 2 or 3 times. I'm shocked I can't remember the name of it. But it's such a comfort because it really reminds me there's such a power in slowing down and
Mhm.
watching your surroundings. You don't have to have 50 acres to appreciate nature around you.
Yeah.
You could be an apartment. I mean, look, you said you're an apartment. Even just slowing down, looking out the window and looking like, oh, look, there's some dragonflies. I haven't seen dragonflies around here, or,
Yeah.
oh, look, that's a different type of bird. Why does that bird have a red head? That's the book that, comes to mind first, because it really showed me the power of slowing down. And now it's like I get so much joy from just sitting out on my back deck and hearing the birds chirping. Love that book. I'll get you the name of it.
Wow. Okay. So uh and uh and just the appreciation, like finding creative ways to show appreciation for the environment around you. I've definitely found during COVID, when I was living in New York City in an apartment, that when you leave the house and you open yourself up to it, there's so much, magic that you can find, even if it's just, a weird bird song you haven't heard before, or anything. There's always something fun and special to be found. But were you saying she was actually sending letters to friends, like non-digital, or?
Yeah, so she was handwriting. Oh no, I don't believe it's handwriting. I believe she was emailing these letters. It was once a week. She would write about her surroundings, like what was happening in nature around her house, to her relatives in London. And it was a series of emails over 1 year. So what's beautiful about it is you get every week a snapshot of what was going on in the garden. It shows you how much diversity from the seasons. And it was started in March of 2020, and it went till March of 2021.
Mm,
And it was just the appreciation of every week, like, oh, you remember the chipmunk friends we talked about during week whatever,
yeah.
oh, they're so funny, they're like clowns, and she like gives them the personality. And the thing is, I've honestly, I can confirm it. If you watch your local ecosystem do their thing, it's like a whole world open up of just personality, and you just learn so much about them. It's so fun.
It's amazing. People really get invested in, the storylines of these, characters, right? Even if it's just the chipmunk that lives in your backyard, and but if you start telling that story. um cool. All right, very cool. So I will definitely try to find that book. And I will also mention before we wrap it up,
Yeah.
you when you just mentioned the tip about taking the leaves off of the flower stems, like that has permanently changed my relationship to flowers going forward.
Good.
Like, amazing. Thank you. Hit me with one more flower fact, just something that most people don't know that's just amazing about flowers.
That's so hard because that's the thing. They're so fascinating. I'm trying to think. I don't know. What kind of tip are you looking for? Are you looking for like a
Oh,
cut flower tip or gardening outside?
tips is good, but it could just be trivia, or like
Trivia.
the science of flowers and how they interact with the environment around them, like what the petals are made of and why they are the colors they are. Like, I imagine there's just so much to know about these magical little colorful things.
Oh my goodness. Yes. We could talk a whole hour about just
Yeah.
that alone,
I know.
honestly.
And I'm saying we have like 2 minutes, but
Yeah. Okay. So 2 minute fact. So let's talk about annuals. I know annuals get a lot of hate. People are like, oh, perennials are the ones you want because you plant them and they come back every year. So obviously you go to Lowe's, you buy plant, you put it, you don't have to do anything, and people love that.
Yeah.
Annuals can be equally as like easy. So a lot of the flowers I have, I didn't even seed them this year because annuals usually produce the seeds. Like for example, marigolds, I'll take that for another example. You can very easily, get it from Lowe's or whatever and put it. But once the bees and other bugs pollinate, those seeds, they'll produce the little seed heads. You can take off the flower head once it's all dried up, and you just sprinkle, like just do a little sprinkle of the seeds, and you'll see all the little seeds fall out onto the ground, and you stomp on it a little bit, and it'll keep coming back. So I've planted like bachelor's button, or I have these 7-foot cosmos in my yard that I planted 2.5 years ago, and they still come back. I don't plant any of them, but the birds and the bees outside, they distribute the seeds. So annuals, yeah, they don't come back every year, but they kind of do because that's their life cycle in nature. Is they are short-lived. They produce the seeds, the beautiful flowers. The bees come and pollinate them. They produce these seeds, and then over the winter, they're in the soil, in the cold soil. And when it's warm again, those seeds that fall in, they can come right back up if the conditions are right. It's so fun.
It makes so much sense because like obviously in nature, annuals don't just die and disappear off the face of the earth. They find a way to propagate.
Exactly. And that's the thing. It just makes sense, which is why I'm saying don't hate on annuals. Give them a try. If they do produce seeds, it's the same thing as perennial. It's just a different system. That's all. And here is the name of the book.
Hey, there it is. Nature on the Doorstep.
By Angela E. Douglas. Highly, highly recommend. Like, look, this book is all beat up because whenever I'm feeling like a little down, I need to slow down. I'll go out on the sunshine, doesn't matter the month, and I'll open it up, and she'll have a little diary entry of what's going on in her backyard. It's wonderful.
My mom's birthday is in 2 months, and I know what I'm getting her now.
She's I'm telling you, get her that, and I can give you a little bouquet of flowers, and she will be all set.
Killer. All right, Deanna, it's been such an absolute pleasure. Do we have another Stroll and Stem on the calendar yet?
We do. Okay, I believe the next one would be, what month are we in? June. The next one would be in July 13th. That's also a Sunday. And the next one after that is August 3rd. So we are hoping to have them, somewhat regularly, but those are the next two coming up.
Killer. Deanna Herrera, yes. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you taking the time. Look forward to strolling and stemming with you again real soon. And thank you. Thank you for doing what you do.
Thank you so much for chatting with me. And thank you for letting me dump some facts on you, because that is what I love to do.
Yay.
All right.
All right, and that was my interview with Deanna Herrera. Come join for a Stroll and Stem soon. Just such an inspiring thing. And, so many things about flowers, the physicality, the smell. I mean, they are special things. And the idea of getting together, taking something that would otherwise get discarded and finding a creative use for them, and doing that in community, putting together bouquets on a Sunday morning and then going out onto the street and handing them to strangers. It is such a generative, just positive, energizing experience. So I highly recommend it. I hope that other folks are inspired to follow in Deanna's footsteps and organize similar programs. So if that's something that you're interested in, certainly reach out to Deanna. And that's part of what I'm interested in doing in general as well, which is to get folks out of their houses trying new things. So I mentioned a few things at the top of the hour. We got Bike Party coming up this Friday. We've got the Sono Saturday markets the last Friday of every month, the last Saturday of every month here in Norwalk, June through September. And you will be seeing me there for that 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And tonight, starting tonight, every Wednesday throughout the summer, we've got live music on Calf Pasture Beach. So I hope we can see you all there. That is going to do it for me. Again, my name is Tony Bacigalupo. You're listening to the You Are Invited radio show on WFUT Radio. You can listen to us at WFUTradio.com. You can also search Belongfulness on YouTube to watch the video replays and the live video streams for these shows. And I will catch you next week Thanks everybody for joining, and I will see you soon. And we are going to just pick some things back up here with a little bit of music for our friends here at WFUT. All right, rock on, everybody. Take care. Have a great day. Bye.